last-minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. Is okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as
Thanks,
simple as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM 1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
Everyone, welcome to this week's Master Instructor Roundtable with myself, Wendy Batts, and here with my friend and co-host, Dr. Marty Miller. Marty, how are you today?
Great, Wendy. How's everything?
Everything is good. We are live, so if you guys have any questions as we go through the content today, then please be sure to put it in the chat so we can be sure to get your questions answered. And today, Marty and I are going to talk about AI, so artificial intelligence, and its impact in the fitness industry. Anyone that has turned on a computer, used a phone lately, will just see AI is everywhere, and it's here to stay, Marty.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, when you look at AI and or automation, it is a big topic in a lot of areas, especially certain industries. There's some certain things going on right now in the US where one of the big issues is automation, artificial intelligence, because people are maybe concerned on where this is going to go and how it affects their jobs. But what we're going to do today is go through that and look how we can lean into artificial intelligence and automation. It's not going away, so we might as well accept it, be proactive in it, understand it, and then hopefully leverage it to make us more efficient in what we do.
100%. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to say it's already here. And are you aware? And I'm sure everyone is aware because, I mean, even if you go to social media and you try to search something, I can't even get around the whole AI search. I don't want an AI search. I'm looking for a particular person that has nothing to do with AI, but it can be beneficial to your business. There's a lot of pros and cons. We work specifically with some individuals that help build platforms and their own personal websites for some of the trainers that are looking to build their business. And the first thing they do is tell you to go to ChatGPT or something, type some information in and allow it to help you on the creative side. So is it bad? No. Does it take, I think, some of our own thinking out of the picture? Yes. But what's next with it? And that's what we're going to talk about.
I agree. So, Wendy, like you said, it's here. It's not going anywhere. It's just now, where does it go and how does it change our normal behaviors? So when you look at AI in the health and fitness industry, it's going to integrate different technologies into various fitness, exercise, and wellness aspects. And the main purpose of this integration is to enhance the overall experience. That's the design, personalization, and the effectiveness of fitness routines and health management. And Wendy, you and I both know what we've done for a long time is movement assessments. And now there's motion capture. Now, the good news is if the motion capture has been done correctly, not only will it help us see things, it's going to help us measure it even on a smaller scale so we can really show people what we did, why we made the choices we did. And then also it's going to let us maybe deal with more people and push programs out to them. So there's things that are going to be very positive in it. And that's the mindset that I'm going to take, is that I'm going to accept this technology. I'm going to lean into it. And I'm going to do everything I can for it to help my business, which means help the people that I work with each and every day.
So, there's always the positive. I'm going to just throw out the negative from the start. And again, I'm a big advocate for AI because I am going to have to learn to accept it and use it. But I will say you want to be careful. And I know, Marty, as we dive into the content, I just want to throw this out there in the beginning. You have to be careful because the input that you're putting into some of these different platforms, especially if you're using a chat function where you're typing in like, help me create this, or the input that you put in, it's going to do these algorithms. It's going to be bringing in all this different information, and then it's going to spit out what it sees and what it knows. But it's going to be up to us to determine whether it's something that is correct. And I know we're going to be diving deep into that, but as you guys know, I am a professor at Penn West. I teach a lot of the business courses. I teach a lot of the NASM courses. And Marty, lately, there are people that are trying to get out of doing some of their assignments. So they're using AI for help, and they're spitting out programs that has nothing to do with NASM's OPT model. However, they're submitting it saying, oh, yes, I created this on my own, and they're getting a 0. And not a 0 for using AI, but a 0 because it's just wrong.
It's interesting you bring that up because, again, I work in a different side of the business. I had not thought about that. I'm thinking about companies who have leaned into the technology, that are experts in the fitness industry, that understand motion capture. So that's what I've been more exposed to. My previous company, Technogym, used a lot of AI, but as you said, it was created by people who knew what to put into it. So to your point, I think you got to be very selective in where you're leaning into the AI. And if it's just generic, general stuff, yeah, they're not going to have the understanding that we do. But if you're working and it's, technology like, let's say NASM 1 or the Movement Edge and all those type of things, the Edge app, those type of things that are worked on by people like us that then can use that into artificial intelligence. That's where my mindset went.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally agree with what you're saying now that I see it from that professor standpoint.
Yeah, it's a good and bad. And like I said, there are people, but I will also say, if you are a student of mine, I do use an AI detector. I use 3 of them to be exact. So just so you know, if it detects it, I am going to question you. And I just want people to think sometimes, Marty, we are starting to really look at technology as just, let me just do this so I don't have to think about it. And unfortunately, we're losing some of our own thought processes and our own creativity and being able to expand our own knowledge because we're going to some different courses when we're relying heavily on AI. However, again, to your point, very beneficial when there's correct input, good algorithms. The wearable technology, of course, is off of AI. And when you start to run with groups and they're doing comparisons, all that information on the health standpoint can be amazing because you can see out of however many people where you fit into whatever health category or sleeping or your body battery or whatever it may be. So it can be fascinating information as well, but just know that there are errors within AI and you always want to challenge it before you accept it.
No, I love that. And as we move to the next slide, I was, thinking about this as the conversation goes. And I love when we put these presentations together. Sometimes we're all of a sudden when we're talking, we're like, oh, I should have put that slide first. But it is all about big data, right? So to your point, when you're asking a computer to do something it's never done before, it doesn't have the data input on what a NASM stabilization program should be, right? But when we're looking at, as Wendy, you and I've talked before on longevity and health span versus lifespan, I truly do believe that there will be biomarkers when you're 13, 18, 19, whatever years old, that will eventually link, say, hey, when you're 77 years old, this is what you're most likely to have, because there will be so much just hard data, right? And that's good because then we can get ahead of things and we can have better solutions and things like that. So that's where this artificial intelligence is going to come from. It needs massive amounts of data points. So certain things like blood pressure and calories in and calories out and calories burned and steps per day, it's going to do a very good job of crunching that data and giving you where it could be in the future. But those personalized type of programs, it's going to take more time and it has to be inputted by the right type of people to then create that type of output.
100%. And it's, I think, how we're using it. And I always, before I start wearing different pieces of technology, whether it's my Oura Ring, my Garmin, I want to know who was the founder or the inventor of it. Who was on the back end designing some of these programs? Who's the one that is making this recommendation? Is it an actual person that has a PhD in whatever it is that I really want to hone in on? Or is it, just data that's brought in and it's trying to find and pulling different information? Because sometimes you can type in one thing, Marty, into and I'm using ChatGPT because that's what I know. And that's what a lot of people use, but there's other types of AI out there that is not pulling data driven or research driven data. And it's kind of scary to see the outcomes. Like I said, I've seen it firsthand in some of the program designs. However, it can be very useful for someone that can't or doesn't have access, whether it's financial or just location because you're in a rural area, to an NASM trainer. So if you want to help with programs, like I've got a knee issue, what are good corrective exercises? It may spit out some good ones. It may spit out some bad ones, but that's where you'll have to really think about it. And trainers are getting scared, but I think it's actually something that we can use to our advantage, either whether we're learning about it or whether we can say, you know what, I wouldn't do this yet because maybe it's too advanced for wherever they are. That's still one-on-one, I think is always going to take precedence if it can over technology.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the apps and the data is here, and sometimes you can get paralysis by analysis, right? Too much data and things like that. So you've got to kind of pick and choose. But hopefully you can find some areas where it helps you in the areas you need the help, but still do what you do incredibly well.
100%.
So Wendy's, not shocking, it's on the rise, right? The trend. So, I have had the privilege the last handful of years to go to most of the major conferences, whether it's the Athletic Trainers Association conference, which is, on parallel tracks with fitness. We're trying to get people healthy. I've gone to Idea World and URSA and all that. And as you go through the trade show booths, you're seeing more and more tech companies. And I did spend 6 years with a very high-end fitness tech company, right? So I know where these trends are going. And if you look at the dollars and cents that are being spent, projected $7.8 billion in 2022, it's a year or two behind always by the time you get these numbers, with the global artificial intelligence and fitness and wellness market. And it's expected to rise on a compounded annual growth rate of 20.5%. You know me, I'm a numbers guy. The rule of 72 means it doubles when the percentage is at 72 when you divide it in. So in 3+ years, that 7.8 will be about $16 billion. And then you can see it's going to double again by 2030 at about 30.56 billion. So it's not going anywhere. There's a lot of money being spent. So I would just keep your eyes open to it and see if it's something that you can be a part of, or if it's not something you really want to be a part of, at least go back to your SWOT analysis. Is it a threat? Because, back in the day, if you were making, horse and buggies and you were locked in that's what you wanted to do, and you didn't start selling those wheel to car manufacturers, eventually you were out of business, right? So sometimes you like what you like and you want to do what you want to do, but sometimes the industry can pass you by if you're not paying attention.
100%. Well, hopefully if you're building your business, it really should be about gathering the information, and AI can be a huge, huge component to help you think through maybe something that you haven't really thought through. Again, though, you have to think about how does that fit in relation to your niche, your goals, like you said, your SWOT analysis, Marty. Hopefully everyone that has their own business are doing their own SMART goals and reevaluating their KPIs and which is just basically your key performance indicators, and ensuring that you're on the right track to also grow just with the industry and AI. And Marty, I know we're going to continue and talk about a lot of great information. And once again, we are live. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the box. Marty and I will get them to you. But I do want to stop and say that this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. So Marty, as we progress into even looking at the next slides, here, artificial intelligence has largely transformed the fitness industry. We know this. We see it. We're looking at technology. We're looking at all these fun gadgets coming out from personalized training plans, wearables, gamification, of course. And it's revolutionized how people are approaching wellness and fitness, which you and I have done so many different podcasts talking about the importance of getting people moving. What can we do to decrease obesity? What can we do to get our kids outside playing? And people are like, well, AI, though, it's sitting in front of the computer, and it doesn't have to be. I think that's where the wearables and the technology come into play, because if you're challenging someone and you've got data that you can share amongst each other, I think too, that becomes super great, especially if you're like you and I, Marty, we're super competitive. And I don't want you to walk more steps than me. So I'm going to go out when you go to bed and I'm going to walk more steps. So that way in the morning you can see
I beat you. I beat you. No, but two products come to mind. And the previous company I worked for, we put AI into our cardio programs in 2017. And when I would bring it into clubs, a lot of personal trainers would get a little frustrated first. I'm like, let's be honest, guys and gals, you don't program for cardio. You don't, most of you. You say, hey, go do cardio, this, that, the other. Lean into it. Let the machine take their intensity, their duration, their heart rate, the variability of their heart rate over time, and let them prescribe the cardio, and just say that this is what I want you to do. I want you to do this 25-minute program. And when it asks you to adjust, here's why. And when I taught the personal trainers that had this equipment, they're like, never thought about that. Because at the end of the day, clients want success. And we have a slide on this later. I'm not going to spoil it now. But if I'm guiding you and letting the AI do what it does, it's not going to replace me. I'm just the one teaching you why we're using that if it's in my facility, right? And then, Wendy, we're going to do a really cool podcast in the coming months on Blaze Pods, which is reactive training. And guess what? The programs that you run are based on your output and based on your time and sequencing. And why would I want to try to outthink that, right? Because if it knows my success, it knows what the next logical progression is. So why would I not just lean into that? But I'm going to bring in, okay, Wendy, here's why we're doing reactive training. Here's why we're doing it this way today. Here's why we're doing it that way. And let's look at your data. So those are just great tools to lean into, because I wouldn't have the ability to do that anyways. So that's where that can be a great resource for you and elevate your client's success and let them have more fun. And you're just using a cool tool, and you're the one studying that tool to know like how these decisions are made. And I've yet to see a problem with that in our industry.
I 100% agree with you, because I utilize that same technology, and it decreases the amount of work I have to do at the end of the day. I'm taking notes. I'm writing it down on their program, what they did.
Coaching.
Yes. And to your point, if you're going to have them do this 20 minutes afterwards and you're already starting with the next client, they may not know when to progress or go faster or slow down or any of that. If the machine does it and it's something that is programmed utilizing AI and looking at their own metrics, I think it is going to definitely be a win-win. So today on the Master Instructor Roundtable with myself, Wendy Batts, and Marty Miller, we are talking about AI and how we can use it to our benefit, especially in fitness. And we know it's here to stay. So what can we do to just embrace it and just change? Because it's hard for us sometimes. It's hard for me, Marty, to get out of my own head sometimes. And
You're a little old school.
I am very like, nope, this is how it's done. This works, and I'm not going to skew away from it. I follow the model, and I know the model inside and out, because I believe in it. And I think that's too where people are like, no, what I do works. And I'm not saying what I do works only, but if I'm going to also grow with the times and look at the new modalities and technology, I'm going to have to embrace how I can fit that into whatever it is that I'm programming. Because then again, it makes me even better.
No question. And which is only AI could make you better, Wendy. So I get that. Only a computer.
Well, you can actually like download your own picture, and it makes you like
digital.
There was someone that we needed a headshot for. I kid you not. I cannot believe I'm saying this on a podcast. We needed a professional picture, and we only had them in a uniform. And we ended up taking a picture, put it into AI. And the next thing you know, this person is in a business suit and something that we used as their bio before they went out to speak and do a presentation.
Was it Ken Miller? I just have to know.
Actually, no. But it was one of those like, wow, that just happened. But I needed it right then and there. We made it happen. And if you listen to social media, there's some funny things that are out there with coaches that are doing their talks after a game, whether they won or lost. and they're changing their words, even though it looks like that's what they're saying. And some of it can be scary because you can use it in a very negative way. However, when we're talking about business, it can be positive.
Right. So I'm going to jump into the slide, but I did see a comment here. First of all, thank you for this compliment on a fantastic topic. And then Axion Athletes, for NASM, the overhead squat assessment in regard to motion capture, is there a specific angle degree that the body should aim for to be considered good posture? I'll pause. I'll read the slide and I'll come back to that. So when you look at the categories, Wendy, you and I have actually kind of touched on the main two categories that are going to be with AI. So we have the first one you'll see here is more the workout programming, tracking, fatigue, calorie count, sleep pattern recognition. And again, that's going to tell you, are you ready to work out? Are you not ready to work out? Have you recovered? All those cool things, how well the program is going. Then the other one, going to the question, is motion analysis. Am I moving well? Am I not moving well? And guess what? That can change day to day drastically sometimes. So when you talk about, is there a certain angle or degree that the body should aim for to be considered good posture? I believe what you're saying is in the setup when I do the actual, like if I'm using an app to video the movement, I would follow the instructions on the app. Because each one may have a little different technology. Now they're up to 3D technology from what I hear, went from 2D to 3D, even on your camera. So I would follow the instructions clearly. On the app, it's about the lighting, it's about the background and angles, things like that. So the better information in, the better information out. So we'll be on here for another few minutes. Please let me know if that helped answer that question.
Well, and I want to step in too. That is going to be something very important. And I would say don't step away from what you know on the assessment setup. Find an app that really does blend in. And if you put someone in the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints, and then this app captures, this is their starting point and this is their movement quality, it shouldn't be any different than if I'm actually performing it and taking notes versus, if I'm the trainer and I'm watching my client do it and I'm taking notes versus if I have a app capture that. And there are a lot of great, and you know a few, Marty, as well, apps that are out there that want you to start in the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints. And those are the ones that I like because it actually goes into exactly what I'm already teaching. But now I can just capture that versus me putting them in some situation or position that may not be ideal. Now, again, this is just specifically with what you were saying with the overhead squat assessment. So there are going to be other types of assessments out there that some of these other apps want to capture in order to get more of a well-balanced program. Meaning I think we could just do the overhead squat, but if they wanted to do the push-up, flexion, extension, internal, external rotation of the arms, all of that, there are apps out there that capture all of it. You just have to make sure that your training and your teaching follows those same guidelines of the capturing that you're getting. So your program is going to be more accurate for your clients.
Well said.
Thanks.
So we kind of covered this. This won't take long here, but we've got things with postural assessments, the sleep recovery. We know there's now wearable clothing that's going to be able to track progress as far as, GPS, location and stress and all that kind of stuff. And those can be intertwined together. But we know the basketball players, there's GPS all over their gyms and it's tracking how many accelerations and decelerations they do. Plenty of fitness workout apps, gamification, and also now equipment, because I know this firsthand, has artificial intelligence built in, and again, the bike right behind me has artificial intelligence built in. I do my assessment and it knows my progress. And when I can achieve a certain level, it suggests that I move forward with more intense workouts. So it's here to stay. But the cool thing is it's going to help us get higher levels of fitness if we utilize it the right way. So I'm excited about that because very few people truly hit the level of fitness that they're capable of because they're the ones usually making the decisions.
Well, and I think we need to embrace it too. And if somebody is using some sort of wearable and it keeps track over all their numbers and they're working with you and they're trying to change their lifestyle, you should see positive changes happening. If not, this makes for a really good time to sit down with your clients and have a heart-to-heart. It's not just when we reassess their movement pattern. We should always reassess their SMART goals. We should make sure they're on track. And I know with certain wearables that I have, it gives me my day-to-day, gives me over a week. I can look at it over a month, and then it'll tell me, oh, your quarterly report is here. And I can look at each quarter from a bigger picture of how many steps did I take? Oh, that was the equivalent of this many marathons. What was that my goal? Or I ended up getting these crowns. I got all these awards for my activity, and then I failed sleep. So there's a balance there where you want to see whatever it is that you're looking at. The consistency is what's important. And if you are going to track your assessments utilizing an app, it needs to be an app that is there for good. It's going to be an app that you can trust, and it's going to be something that when you reassess, you're setting them up the same way, and the app is working the same way to give you the data that you need to show progression or not. If they're not progressing, why? But that's also where we come into play. And I know that's going to be our next slide, Marty, is us being educated to know the difference.
Yes. Now, I have to just point out, if you look closely on the lapel pin, this is the best general manager in professional football, big baller Brandon Beane. He's the best. I'm just telling you, Wendy, get on with it. Just like we said, you're going to have to jump on the AI bandwagon. It is what it is. Okay. It is what it is. And the reason I know this to be true is he knows how to manage his team incredibly well. He knows how to find talent. He knows how to build a team and stay within the boundaries of certain guidelines. But the reason I've been saying this over the last 5 years to personal trainers is the days of just doing personal training are probably over. There might be some people that's all they want to do is one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. But that's kind of rare now because small group training became a thing. Now we have the nutrition coach, the wellness coach. We have these apps. You should be guiding their journey and charging for that full journey, but maybe only training them once or twice a week. And right now with artificial intelligence and technology, it makes it easier for you to manage a bigger client load, offer new programs, and use technology and artificial intelligence to carry some of that load for you. And now you can offer more services to your client. It's not going to go away. They're not going to go hire a wellness coach and a nutrition coach and a personal trainer or corrective exercise specialist, generally speaking. They're going to want you to have a lot of that information. And that's why NASM has done a phenomenal job bringing out these different credentials, because those are unique skills within the personal training industry. And you may love one of them more than the other, but now that COVID came and people are used to training online and they don't have to be in the same town as their trainer, I just want to make a point that if you manage this correctly, your business could be more diverse and it could be potentially more profitable, and you could handle a different type of business and maybe even work less hours.
I know. What is it? Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, Wendy.
I know, because you only have so many hours in a day. And to Marty's point, how can you look at your business and then grow it without necessarily working more, being gone more? If you have a family or are going to start a family or you want to have a family, it's hard to balance life and their activities and their sports with you staying within your own self-care and doing your own programming and then work and then, seeing clients at all crazy hours. It's a good time to step back and I think take a look at your business, look at your plan, reevaluate where maybe AI can be, to your point, Marty, beneficial. But also we look at the ACSM trends every year. Marty, you and I do something on it almost every January or February, talking about where's the industry going according to these surveys that they're putting out. And we've noticed more and more that some of these group trainings or now even virtual training, it's not number one anymore. They are starting to fall off a little bit and people are looking for the new best thing. And trainers also need to be able to adapt. And education is always going to be key. Knowledge is power. And as you go through and you start to look at your continuing education, what is it that maybe you are not doing now that you could be doing? And then embrace that change with the new education. And you are just setting yourself up. Plus, if something spits out, like for me as a professor, something spits out a program, you're going to be like, this is way wrong, because you have educated yourself to know the difference between the good points that are being kind of spit out, if you will, in comparison to some of these other programs that have nothing to do with the model, even though you typed in NASM, OPT model, stabilization phase, design a program, click, and then it comes out with all this randomized, like, what is this? So just be careful, but just remember, you are going to be in charge of what you utilize in your business, but you need to be able to know the difference between good and bad.
Love it. So some key points, Wendy, is, are you technology savvy? I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't, but I should improve. Do you use technology in your current business model? And maybe can you use it more? And what opportunities are available for you to modernize your business? And let's be honest, impact more clients, impact them to a larger extent, and also hopefully give you even more satisfaction within your career, whatever that means to you.
Well said, Marty.
Thank you.
Well, if you guys have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments right now so we can get them answered before we end today's podcast. If not, you can always email me at wendy.batts@nasm.org, or you can find me on Instagram at wendy.batts13.
And my information's right here. Instagram is dr.martymiller72, and email marty.miller@nasm.org. So Wendy, thank you for your thoughts and your take on it, because, at the beginning, we kind of looked at things a little differently, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And for all of you that joined us, thank you for the comments and questions we had. I don't see any additional comments coming in, but you do know how to get a hold of us. We love to hear from you. We love doing content that you ask for. So keep those suggestions coming. And Wendy, besides that, I really appreciate your expertise in this area.
Oh, well, thanks. You as well, Marty. Great topic.
Thank you. Well, for all of you that joined us today, as always, we can't thank you enough. And of course, we hope you join us next week on the Master Instructor Roundtable.